All right. So we are starting with Chapter 8 right now. This will be a three-part video, or three videos actually. First, we're going to start out with prenatal development, and then infancy and childhood, adolescence, adulthood, and the elderly. All right. So number 1, learning outcomes. Compare and contrast the influences of nature versus nurture, describe developmental research techniques, and discuss prenatal development. Okay, so one of the biggest issues in psychology is in fact, it's probably one of the biggest debates in psychology, to tell you the truth, is what makes you who you are as a person. Is it nature, meaning the genetics that you got from mom and dad? Is it your chromosomes, your genes, your DNA? Is that who makes you who you are? Or is it nurture, which is the environment that you're in or you were raised in? So it could be your parents, or whatever environment that you were raised in, or what environment you're in now. Or is there an interaction between both of them? And so, is there some kind of interconnectedness? I would suggest that most psychologists believe it's always a combination of both. For the most part, not always, but for the most part, it's a combination of both. Okay. For example, identical twins who share identical genes. All right, there's no difference between them genetically. But sometimes they develop different diseases, like schizophrenia is, if one twin has schizophrenia, there's a 6 in 10 chance that the other one will as well. Although that is a high risk, it's not 100% risk. If it's purely genetic, then what should happen? Well, then we should have both sisters or both siblings have schizophrenia. It doesn't work out that way. Let's see. How we study developmental psychology is cross-sectional research. We compare different ages to each other at the same point in time. We see any differences and similarities as we age. Longitudinal research is where we study, same people as they age. So they may start out as 5th graders when the study starts, and it may go on for the rest of their life. So if they live to be 75 years old, well, that's a 65-year-old study. And then sequential is a combination of the both. It's important to see these differences in people using a variety of different methods of research, and not one method is more important than another. Okay, prenatal development. Well, it all starts through conception, when 23 chromosomes from the father, 23 from the mom, combine together to form a unique signature that will never be repeated ever again in human history, and has never been done before. And so it is a unique chromosome, DNA, genetic makeup that each one of us have, and there will never be someone exactly like you or me in the future. And so the first part of this, once the chromosomes have come together, we have 46 pairs of chromosomes. Our development is called a zygote, which is, as it travels through the fallopian tube, it keeps on splitting and splitting and splitting and splitting. Okay, cell structures and so forth. And then when it goes into the uterus, okay, it becomes what's called a blastocyst. Let me find this right here. Okay, and then the blastocyst will attach itself to the uterine wall and then live off of the yolk sac, like a chicken. Actually, they live the first few weeks. The baby is not living directly from mom, but is actually nourishing itself through a yolk sac. And then it turns into an embryo. The thing about embryos is that about 25% of all pregnancies during the embryonic stage end in a miscarriage. So this is why a lot of people decide not to tell anybody about being pregnant, because there's always a higher probability of a miscarriage during that time, and it's difficult to once you've told everybody and you've experienced a miscarriage, now that you have to go around telling everybody what happened. Okay. Then after 3 months, it turns into a fetus, and now with the fetus, everything is put together. You have all the parts that you need. Now they just need to be able to get bigger and more developed, and the brain and the lungs and the heart, all that needs to get bigger and more developed. And the last thing that really is fully developed are the lungs. This is why it's very dangerous for premature babies to be born so early, because the youngs are the last thing to develop. And the youngest that a fetus can survive born prematurely is at 22 weeks, and that's just past half of pregnancy right there. Again, prenatal development. Move up here a little bit. Oops, sorry. Okay, we have critical periods, like during the embryonic stage, and when the embryo and the fetus are taking nutrients from mom has to be careful about what she's ingesting and exposing herself to. So with with alcohol, nicotine, any other type of drugs, medications even, mom has to be careful about what she's putting in her body, because oftentimes whatever she's taking, the medicine, the nicotine, the alcohol, can get to the developing baby, developing fetus, developing embryo. Okay, and so we have to be very careful about what we ingest, because this is a critical time period. Whatever happens to this baby during this time period will have an effect on them for the rest of their life. So they live to be 80 years old. They may be still suffering the consequences of mom drinking when she was 2 months pregnant. And so we have to be very careful. It's something that can last their entire life. They'll know nothing else but having to deal with fetal alcohol syndrome and things like that. And there's other things, PKU. I don't know how to say that word, but we're just going to say PKU. They're missing enzymes for intellectual development. So we have developmental disabilities, mentally retarded, things like that can have an effect on the baby. This is genetic. This has very little to do with mom has done behaviorally during her pregnancy. Sickle-Cell Anemia. Again, we have anemia and Down syndrome, which is an extra chromosome, and it could cause mild retardation, sometimes more. And it's no one's fault. It's although as we age, once above 35, the risk of the baby having Down syndrome is actually higher if mom was a little younger. The reason being is, women are born with all the eggs they'll ever have when they were a fetus in their own mom, and so as they age, their eggs age, and so when they're 35, their eggs are 35, and so this is why women quit ovulating and menstruating at around age 50. Teratogens are any agent that could cause harm to the baby while the baby is inside mom. Alcohol, medication, chemicals, you name it. Okay, they can cause harms. A mother's nutrition is very important. Mom's going to make sure she is well nourished. Illnesses like flus and colds, make sure you go see the doctor. And again, fetal alcohol syndrome is when mom drinks alcohol during her pregnancy, especially during the early stages of her pregnancy, causing mental retardation and facial features to be abnormal. No filtrum. This little scar right here underneath your nose. The scar is from when both sides of your faces were coming together when you were forming your face when you were a fetus. Well, a baby with fetal alcohol syndrome does not have this little scar underneath the nose, and they have shortening eyes and so forth. And plus, like I said, mental retardation. Tobacco use has been known to cause lower birth weight, and that in and of itself can cause a lot of problems for babies. All right, so I am going to load this, and we'll start with infancy and childhood.